G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so very, very good to see you. I do hope you're well. Well, today we're going to have a quick video talking about Nikon's latest lens lineup. And we can see here with this image that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lenses already on the roadmap. And we will see these by the end of 2022. So that's basically over the next 24 months, 11 lenses. But I do think that might end up being something like 14 lenses. A couple of the lenses that they're going to do over the next 2 years are not here. They're not silhouetted yet. They don't want to talk about them yet. Basically, what that's going to mean is we are going to see a new lens every 2 months. So that's enough for people who want to buy all of them. Like, that's quite a rate. So a total of 27 lenses, 2 teleconverters will be available within the next 2 years. So the other thing I wanted to quickly touch on before we dive into the lenses is we have the Z50, the Z5, the Z6, Z7, Z6 II, and the Z7 II. I believe we're going to have at least one more DX APS-C cropped sensor camera on this end, and I think we will have a Z8, a Z9, and perhaps even something else over the next 2 years. So that body lineup will also increase. The Z lineup will be very robust, perhaps as much as 10 cameras deep 2 years from now. Let's jump into the lenses, and we will start down this end here. We'll go left to right. Why not? We have the 28 and 40mm pancake lenses, as they are known. So as we can see here, it's between the kit lens for the Z5, the 24-50, and the kit lens for the Z50. Pretty close to those. Both the same size. So they're pretty small. They're something like this big. That's pretty small. One thing that I love about the Z50 is its compact nature and the compact lenses available for it. These two pancake lenses will help with that, and the 28 and the 40mm lenses are great sort of walk around general photography lenses. Probably the 28mm more traditionally being for streetscape and landscape and so on. Even so, I will use any lens for any particular situation because it's just a matter of how creative you can be. But based on that idea that probably the 28 is more generally accepted as a landscape and walk around lens, I would have thought, by the majority of people, I think we'll see the 28mm first. I do think this is a lens that's probably fairly sought after by quite a few people. I would be one of them that would buy it straight away. So I think we'll probably see the 28mm sometime next year. It'll come out, from my perspective, before the 40mm. I think that will come later. That's my guess. As for the f-stops, well, there's been a lot of talk about will they be 2.8s or 1.8s. Look, it's really hard to tell. I don't know how the Z mount affects this type of lens. And by the look of them, I think it could go either way. Certainly, of course, I'd love to see it as a 1.8, but even at a 2.8, if they make it affordable, then you trade off the cost for the f-stops. So I'm going to be personally happy either way. Okay, so the micro 50mm, it's a non-S lens, so I think it is most likely to be the 105, which is just a bit further along, will be the first one to come out. But I'm not such of a macro lens user, so please let me know in the comments, would you prefer to see an affordable 50 or a spectacular 105? What's more useful in the macro space? I would have thought it's the 105. I'd love to know. Let's talk about the 24 to 105mm lens here. There has been speculation that will be an f4 lens. Now, based on the fact, if we grab this little guide here, we can see that it's just a smidge taller than the 20mm 1.8. So let's do a comparison, a real world comparison. What I have here is the Sony 105 f4 and the 20mm. We can see by looking at those lenses that the sizes are very similar to what we're seeing here in the shadow diagram. If I was a betting person, I would say that this S-line lens is most likely to be the 24 to 104 f4 through the range. Now, what we don't know if there's any magic that's going to come from the Z mount. So I think there's a small chance, maybe a 20 or 10% chance that it might be a 3.5 at the wide end and go to f4 at the other end. As I said, as a betting man, I think it's more likely to be an optically spectacular f4 through the range, and it's an S-line. All right, let's talk about this beastie here, the 85. The 85. Now, I think they've already announced the fact that it's a 1.2 on one of the other charts. We can see it's a big lens. We can see it's ridiculously broad. So just looking at its epicness, I do believe it's going to be an 85 1.2. I do believe that this is a very popular and lens that people are excited about. So I believe we will see this next year. And I forgot to say, I believe we will see the 24 to 105 next year as well. I think they're both lenses that will be sought after. And as I just said before, here's the S-line Macro 105. I do believe that's going to be a popular lens. As we can see, it's a very large lens. It's almost the same size as the 50mm 1.2. I think this is going to be a spectacular lens. It's not going to be cheap, and it's just going to do amazing macro photography. I think we will probably see it next year, give or take. That's my guess. Let's talk about this little one here. Now, this DX 18 to 140, which would equate to a 27 to 210. I think that is a 27 to 210 lens. So that is a great all-rounder lens. My thinking is that will probably be a kit lens with the next Z APS-C camera. So we might get a Z, say a Z30 or something like that. This is a lens, a great travel lens. This would be a great option for somebody who just wants very compact, because this is, we can see here, it's the same height as the 24 to 70 f4, which is a great light compact lens. So this would be a great kit and a great entry level, great travel, great enthusiast lens. It will come out whenever that next Z camera comes out, and my guess is, because it's been now a year, maybe slightly more than a year, that we will see this next year, and probably in the first half of next year. That's my guess. All right, let's keep moving along. What we have next is all of these massive zooms. I think it's okay if we zoom out because they're just so big. Okay, right. So let's go and talk about these two here. I own the 100 to 400 f mount version of this lens, and as we can see, it's the same size as the 70 to 200. Now, in the f mount version, it's a 3.5 to 5.6. My guess is it's probably going to be the same, but it's an S line, so it's going to be optically very good, and that may well be the difference between the f mount version. That look, I didn't think it was that good. It was expensive, it had a big range, but it just wasn't a great lens. Look, I did buy this lens 14 years ago, so of course things have changed. So I think it'll be similar f-stops, but it'll be optically ridiculous. Now, this one is not an S-line lens, the 200 to 600, and it's huge. So why is it almost twice the size, but it's only 50% more focal length? I'm not 100% sure on what's going on there, so I would love anybody who has any thoughts about what they're up to there. Is it an f-stop thing? Is it because it's a non-S line, they're not using as much optical wizardry, so they just have to physically make it larger? If you know, please let us all know what's going on there. And then finally, we have these two primes, S-line, 400mm, 600mm, enormous. I think these will be just optically brilliant. They may well be f2.8s or f4s, somewhere around that mark, and they will be extraordinarily expensive, but just brilliant, fast, optically insane telephoto primes. I think this will be the first lens maybe to come out, because it's a great all-rounder. I would like to think it will take the teleconverter, so it'll be very useful. It will be up to 800mm if you got the 2 times. And from what I'm hearing, the 1.4 times teleconverter is so good that there's no optical difference when you use it or not, which would take this out to almost 600mm, almost. I think this lens, it's hard to say about this lens, I'm not sure, but I'm going to say next year for this lens, and then one of these will come out next year, and I'm going to just pick the 600mm will be next year, and the others will come later. So there we go. That is what, by the end of 2022, the lens lineup will look like. I do actually think a couple more lenses will be added that they're still just deciding or working on. Do you have any thoughts on lenses that are missing that you'd really like to see? The only one I can think of right now is a wide prime, wider than 20mm. Right now, the widest one we have is the 20mm. There it is there. Perhaps say something like a 14 or even wider. That's what I would like to see. Otherwise, most of my needs are covered except for perhaps, say, tilt shift. But I think they'll be a long time coming, tilt shift lenses. I'd love to hear from you. What else would you like to see in the lineup? There's so many great options, isn't there? There's so many specialty lenses. And of course, there's what I would call exotic lenses, which are lenses that don't exist, that we haven't really seen before. And I think we might, after all this is done, we might actually start to see some of those exotic lenses, really see the Z mount being pushed. I think one lens that's missing there that I've heard a lot of people interested in is the 70 to 200 f4. Canon have just announced theirs. Again, it doesn't take a teleconverter. I suppose that's more expected at that price point and in that market segment. All right, everybody, so good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time here, it has been so lovely to meet you, and I'd love to see you again. So please subscribe. Please share. It makes us all smarter. And if you'd like to like, it really helps the video get out there to the world and helps the channel. And there's over 250 episodes you can watch right now by just looking down there. All right, so good to see you. There's the roadmap. Very exciting times. Good on you, Nikon, for continuing to push on forwards. This is great stuff. And yeah, what's happening next down the bottom here? Very keen, very interested to know what that is. All right, good to see you. Bye.